properties. It's the property.
Hello guys, welcome to how to create a morning meeting. Alright, so here I'm using Google Slides. And so I'm going to name my slides morning meeting. I'm going to get started here. As you can see, I have here some preset PNG files that are just logos I can use to create different slides. So here I'm going to find a background image, and I have some pre-saved images already. I advise you to go ahead and get you a couple of pre-saved images. So here's the one I'm going to use for today to kind of mimic what you are trying to make. So this is just a chalkboard, and now I'm going to add text on the chalkboard. So the important thing here is this is very simple. I put my name here, but for yours you'll put your name, and I put Mr. Johnson, so it'll be Mr. Johnson's, right? So what I want to do here is I want to find what type of font works best. So depending on the grade I'm teaching, I want something that kind of gives the feel of, I guess, some sort of just the grade level, right? So here I'm just kind of adjusting like what it looks like. So I wanted my font to be white because it pops out, and then I also go into my format options and I do a drop shadow. All right, as you can see, I changed my transparency down so that you can see a black shadow behind it. And I like to do this because it allows the words to pop out at you. And so it shows some contrast from the background. Here I'm adding my morning text. So I have Mr. Johnson's. So I switched to a new text box, and now I'm adding morning. Okay, so here I'm going to find a different type of font. And I want something to look like I wrote this. So I'm searching here to find something that kind of works for me. So you want to go through a couple and then pick the one that works best. So on this board, you could have went with black letters. It's up to you. I like the white letters on a darker color background because it pops. So anyway, I like this because it has some strokes. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to change my color to white. And then I'm also going to do the same thing and do a drop shadow. I'm going to turn my transparency down so that shadow is dark in the background. I'm going to kind of fix my font size to where I think it should go. And then I'm going to fix my text box to kind of match the word. All right, so now we're going to work on the word meeting. So I just did a quick duplicate. I did a copy paste. So I held Command and did Command C and then Command V. So I just changed the word. It kept the same setting, so it was a little bit easier, so I didn't have to go in and do the drop shadow. And so I kind of made my meeting words a lot like the ones from the video, Mr. Mike's video. So I kind of looked through a couple to see what else was there, but I decided to just go through one that kind of matches to kind of give you the same feel. So this is fairly close, and again, I am using Google Slides, so it's much different from other programs that could be used, such as PowerPoint and Keynote. Keynote is a very, very good program to use, but I wanted to keep it simple for you and kind of show you how you can kind of do this with Google Slides. So I'm going to highlight each letter, and I'm going to change the letters one by one. So I'm going to bold the whole word, and then I'm going to change each letter one by one, change the color. All right. So it's up to you to find whatever combination that works. So I just picked the random combination, and I'm going to roll with it. All right, so there's my morning meeting. I'm going to kind of play around with the size again. I'm looking to see if I can maybe stretch out the letters some, but it's up to you how you want it. So I kind of did this to find the right size, and I kind of have my first slide. Upsize a little bit, stretch out the text box, and there you have it. All right, in this video, we're going to add a video. And so this will be the morning movement. So we're going to duplicate the slide. As we duplicate the slide, we made sure that we kept the same theme so that the chalkboard keeps coming back. So here I just search Go Noodle and I just pick a video. I see Frozen, I pick it. So as I pick this, I'm just going to kind of just stretch it out and drag it across the screen. So I stretch it. You don't want your videos to be stretched out like that, or even pictures. So I kind of make it a pretty good size. And there I'm going to click autoplay when presenting. So then when I get to that page, it plays automatically. So here I'm going to create a new slide to add our morning calendar. So I duplicated a couple of slides here. I wanted it to show a blank, so I made a blank template. So I'm going to do the search the web. I'm going to do the search the web option again, and I'm going to find a calendar for May. And so I'm going to find one that works the best. So I'm going to search through a couple and to see if I find one that might work. So I just go with the first one at the top. I think that works just okay. So I'm going to just resize it to fit my chalkboard again. This can be somewhat stretched. It doesn't distort the image. So now I want to add a file here that I saved, which was a GIF file. So a GIF file will be animated, and you can add that to your slides and it will still be animated, and that's how you can kind of engage your students. So I'm adding it to Memorial Day so that that can show up on Memorial Day here. And it has a little wavy type of animation to it. And here I'm just going to add like some text just to show you can create a text box. You can add to each day to kind of just put any notes. So if you have anything scheduled, you can put that in there. So I just wrote a little text there just to show you that. You can also duplicate that, and you can just put that on another date to add different things in your calendar. Here I'm going to animate the flag to kind of fly in as I go to this slide. So I put it on click, and right now it's on fade in, but what I want it to kind of fly up. So you can pick whatever option works for you, and this kind of shows you kind of a test run of how it'll look. All right, next I'm going to create the weather slide here. So this one is going to take a little work. So I go in here, I create a larger text box, and I type in what's the weather today. I'm going to center that. I'm going to also do the same things I've been doing from the beginning. Is I'm going to also add my shadow to make it pop out. Change the transparency. Okay, so there's my title. Next, I'm going to search for some clip art so that I can make my days come out. So I typed in sunny, so I search down and I find this. So when I click on it or when I drag it in, what I'm looking for is for it to have a transparent background. This works. All right, I get it to the right size, and then my next goal is I want to find other clip art that somewhat matches this so that it can look uniform and purposeful. So here I find one, looks like it's from pretty much the same clip art, and that one kind of shows my partly cloudy, and now I'm looking for cloudy. Find one. It works again because there's a transparent background, so I'm going to resize that, and now that covers my cloudy. And as you can see, the lines that pop up when I'm dragging it, it kind of helps you get it to a point that it is centered. So that one had a background for it, so I'm going to look for something else. So I typed in rainy clip art, and this one works. So I'm going to kind of drag it and add it and find the correct alignment so that it all works together. So I'm going to also do my shadow pop up so it can pop out as well. So I put shadows behind each of these. I turn on the transparency so that my shadows show up dark. So now all of these pop out. Now I'm going to add my text under to just label each of the types of weather days. So to help out in this process, I'm going to get this format correct on one word, and then I'm going to just copy and paste to the next ones and just change the actual font. Once I do that, now I just want to kind of center my words right under the clip art to just get it right. So again, the trick here is to copy and paste so that you keep the same settings, and that worked well. Now I'm going to do the bottom part of this where the students will kind of look and create a sentence. So I create a text box. I want to size my text box right where I want it. So actually I'm going to line this up so that I have space on the bottom for it. All right, so now I'm going to create my text box here. I want to size it to where I feel like it's a good size to create my sentence. I want my letters fairly large, so I go with 50. That seems to be the going number here. So once I have my words typed in, I do the same changes here. Add the shadow, I change the letters to white, and I bold out the letters as well. Then I make it as big as it can fit. So I'm going to pick which of these types of days it's going to be. Yeah, so first I'm going to add a background to that so now this sentence pops out more. Create another font here that just kind of asks the question, or it just kind of says, let's make a sentence, or gives a statement, let's make a sentence. So here I'm going to circle the word. All right, then I'm going to change the color to it. I'm going to change the size of it, and then that kind of shows the circle, so it's going to be a cloudy day. So here I'm going to add the word cloudy. So I'm going to kind of go here. I want to copy and paste this because I want it to be the same size and the same format. However, I do not want a background, so I'm going to take out the background and I'm going to just change the word to cloudy. Next here I want to add two animations. I want there to be an animation on this circle. Here's the only options that we have, so I'm going to simply just do a fade in because there's not many options here in Google Slides. So I just wanted to kind of fade in. And then for cloudy, I'm able to do like a fly-in effect. And there's my weather slide. All right, here we're going to create the agenda slide. So on this slide, I'm going to add a small little box, sort of say, to kind of be an icon for each portion of the agenda, much like the previous video from Mr. Mike. So I'm going to size down my text box here, and I'm going to try to create this box just like I need it so that I can do the same process that we talked about before, copy and paste, or in other words, duplicate the box so that we don't have to recreate over and over again. This is a great design technique. Now I'm going to go in, I'm going to change the wording. All right, so next up, what I want to do is I want to add clip art to go in these. So I kind of use the same method to where I want something that has a clear background. So I found this check mark, and I want to use that for my check marks as to when we get something done. So now I'm looking for my movement clip art. I find this one, and this looks like it can work great. So as I drag it in, I resize it, I drag it in and center it, and now that works all together. I want some kind of calendar image. So I'm going to type in calendar clip art to be a little bit more specific. And I found something that could just work for us. Again, this has a transparent background, so this works perfect. Size it correctly, and I'll move on. Next up for weather, I just simply type in weather clip art. So I see this one, it looks like it combines all of the different weather patterns that we talked about. So I just use this for weather. Lastly, for word of the day, this one is a little difficult because I tried to type in word of the day. It's kind of hard to come up with something. So you just kind of have to be a little creative as to what might work for you. You might have to be creative in what you type in the search bar. So I tried different things here to see if I can find something that might work as a clip art, and I kind of find this, and we just roll with it. Now this does not have a transparent background, but it is white. But as I do this, I come to realize that the text box are not actually white. They're a little bit light grayish, so I changed them all to white. And you can't even tell that that last one has a background. So still found a way to make it work. Now, these are now complete. So now I'm going to just duplicate these because we're going to come back to them after every slide. And as we come back to them, then we add a new check mark. So I actually go back. I decide to animate this back into, I decide to go back and animate the check mark in the first one so that when I duplicate it, it does the same thing in each slide. So now I go back, I add them again, I duplicate it, I add it here, and then I'm going to duplicate this again, and then I will need to add another one. So each time I duplicate it, it looks like I do need to add another animation to double it up, because it keeps the same animation from the first one. So to double it so that it comes at different times, I still need to add a second animation. And then on this one, I'm going to need to add a third animation. So I check it real quick just to make sure, and it happens just as it should. Now here, we're going to create our last slide, which is the word of the day. So we're going to create a title text box that simply just says word of the day. Now be creative as you create your own. Depending on your content, depending on your grade level, you know what you need to have in your kind of morning meeting session. I advise you to keep it short, preferably under about 5 minutes. Keep it about 5 minutes. Kind of put in the things that you would do if you're just meeting with your class. Not a lot of content so much, but just just important things. As you see here, we kind of highlighted 4 different things that we touched on. And that's kind of what was shown in the video that was created before. So that's kind of what stands out, is that he created 4 things, I believe, that kind of stood out. So that's what I stuck to. And I think for the younger age, quick videos are good enough, about 5 minutes, and you can just create what's important or what you want to highlight for the day. So here, I just picked the word positive because positive just works, and our kids need to know that during this time, staying positive is important. So here, our word of the day is positive. So I decided to duplicate the word of the day because I want to use the same font, and it also has the shadow in the background, and I decided to keep that. So I go and find a quick definition that kind of more pertains to kids, which is looking towards the good side of things. I want to stretch it out to keep it on one line if possible. So I try to stretch it, make it as big as it could get, but as long as it's on one line. So we try to make it work as best as possible, but aesthetics are very important. So now I want to animate the word positive. I want it to fly in as well. And then I'm going to do a quick little animation for looking towards the good side of things because I want them to come in one at a time. And there we have our word of the day slide. So now we're going to duplicate the agenda to give us all 4 of our check marks. So first we add one to the first, right after the first slide, morning meeting, just that doesn't have any check marks. All right, here is our ending slide. So we're going to actually take this and we're going to duplicate the last slide, and we're going to write in have a happy day. So for this slide, I have a pre-saved GIF that I want to add. So once I get its size right, we are done with our slideshow. Next, here's the most important factor. So we want to screen record our presentation. So here are a couple of apps that you could use. I'm pretty sure during this process, you should have some type of app that you are using to do screen recordings. Me personally, I like to use ScreenFlow. That's one of my favorites, but I also use Flipgrid and some other things. Here's ScreenFlow. That's what I use to do my screen recording. So I'm going to go here. ScreenFlow puts an icon at the top of my computer, so I'm going to configure my recording. I want to set it. I want to enable my computer audio. All right, and then I'm going to hit record, and I have my slideshow ready to go. So now it's recording. I'm going to go hit present. I'm going to wait till my screen clears, and the goal is to present this by just using the arrow keys. So there was my morning slide. I slide to this. I give it a moment, so I hit the next button, and this video plays automatically, okay? And my screen recording would be recording the sound of this as well. So I skip to my next slide. I hit the arrow key, my check mark comes up. Here's my calendar. I hit this, calendar comes down. So as you can see, this is doing a screen recording of my slideshow presentation. Once I'm done with the screen recording, this will come out as a video. Now I'm kind of skipping through this just to kind of make it through the video, but I'm doing another recording as well, which I give everything a good amount of time, which allows me to, when I add my voiceover, I talk through it. And there's my screen recording. So now I can stop it. I gave myself enough time, and I can edit out the beginning and the end. Alright guys, so here I will be creating the overlay with both videos. So here I have here I have the presentation video, and then I'm going to add two videos that I already recorded using a green screen for an intro and an outro. So I'm going to add that as well. So I'm going to just kind of drag the outro video to the end, and then I'm going to use the first green screen. Then I'm going to use the first green screen video here. So I'm going to kind of try to size it up correctly to where I feel like, oh, it might be close. So then I'm going to do the effect here. So I go up, I click on the overlay button, and then I choose green blue screen. So now here I'm going to change the softness, because what happens with the softness is it makes you somewhat transparent. It tries to soften it up so that it still works. And then also you also have an eraser where you can try to erase some of the shadows that come out to the side. So it's a matter of your preference. You want to get it as best as possible. You are using different types of lighting, which you need. So you need a green screen and you need some type of lighting as well. So when you are using these things, it really matters where your shadows are placed, because you want to kind of erase them for the video. So the goal is to get it as best as you can. As you can see on my video, I tried different methods to try to get it as best as I could. So it just takes a matter of playing around with it to see what you want to try, what works best, what looks the best in your video. Then lastly, I'm going to slide down here to the last part of this video. So I want to line it up as best I can. I have yet to add the effect. Now I'm just about ready to add it. So I'm just getting it lined up kind of where I think it should be. Then I add the effect. I go to that overlay button. I click it. Now I'm going to erase certain things that I don't want in there to get it as best as I can. So my goal is I want the kids to see the "Have a Happy Day" and the GIF for a quick second before I jump in there and wave goodbye. Then I want to clip, I want to trim the end to try to get it so that it doesn't see me walking out. And I want the video to end exactly at that moment. Okay, everybody, finally we are at the end of this experience of creating the morning meeting. So here we're doing a screen record. All right, so we press the little mic button and we're able to start our screen record. So now I have the voice, so now I have the sound on mute, but it has created me talking here at the beginning. And so now I skip to the end and I'm going to record the last bit of the video. So it counts down, it records, and now it's recording me talking on that bit. So just for purposes of this tutorial, I didn't want to add the talking because it would have been maybe a lot and maybe confusing. So I'm adding the talking now, and then so we'll move forward to the end of the video where you can hear how the whole thing went. So after I do this voiceover for the rest of the video, my main goal is to now add the finishing touches, to line everything up, to make sure that my voice is consistent and the sound of my voice is consistent with everything else. So now the video is done. I go back, you can see the vocals are recorded, you can see the wave, and then now I'm going to kind of edge it out, trim it, and then I go back and I play it. Let's check it out. Good morning, boys and girls. Time for our morning meeting. Let's get started. Good morning, boys and girls. Time for our morning meeting. Let's get started. We'll begin with our movement. Then we'll move on to calendar, weather, and then word of the day. So let's get started.
Frozen 2 presents Make Your Move. When you see a character moving, move along with them.
So one of the things here that I notice is that my voice is not
Make
consistent.
your favorite move as you enjoy this
So
clip
I
of
wanna
Frozen
add some
2.
effects
Now on digital and Blu-ray so
that my
you
voice
can
is
watch it
still
at
kinda
home.
crispy outside of that video.
Great job, kids. We have now completed.
So I turn it up
our
some here.
movement. Let's move on to calendar. Today is May 4th. In this month, we will also have Memorial Day on May 25th. Well, now we've done movement, and that's our calendar. Let's do our weather. What's the weather today? Sunny, partly cloudy, cloudy, or rainy? It's cloudy. Let's make a sentence. It is a cloudy day. We have now done our movement. Our word of the day is last. Let's do our word of the day.
So here I stumbled on my words. So I want to go in. I want to make it bigger, and I want to kind of catch exactly where I stumble on my words. And I just saw the wave where I did that. So now I want to cut that out. So I'm simply going to trim it at both spaces here. So I have to actually click on the wave. So as I click on the wave, then now I can trim that out, split it, delete it. And now it'll sound a lot more smooth.
Of the day. Our word of the day is positive. Looking towards the good side of things. Let's remember, guys, stay positive. Now we've done our movement. We've done our calendar. We've done our weather. And we've done our word of the day.
Have a happy
so
day.
Again, there was a huge break. So what I want to do is I want to trim it down some so that flows better and there's not such a huge break in between. So as you can see, you'll see me going through the process of trimming all of this down to get it to a good point to where it's not just a kind of an awkward space there.
Day.
Have a happy day.
Now here's the process that I talked about earlier, to where I want to add some effects to the vocals for the voiceover to add some more highs and get it a little bit more crispy like the video had with their vocals. So I go to this setting here.
Looking towards the
has
good
a
side
kind of like
of
it's
things.
a top on it, so I changed the treble boost.
Let's remember, guys,
and it gives
stay positive.
a little
Now
bit
we've
more
done our
crispiness to the vocals.
Great job, kids. We have now completed our movement.
I make sure all of the vocals of the voiceover has the same effects on it.
Let's get started. We'll begin with our movement. Then we'll move on to calendar, weather, and then word of the day. So let's get started.
Frozen 2 presents Make Your Move. When you see a character moving, move along with them. When you see a character freeze, freeze.
We have now completed our movement.
All right, guys, so once it's finished, I would actually do some more editing to it. I would probably add background music for me personally, but this is how you send it out from iMovie. You go and you just click File. All right, here you can name it, and you would click Next. Thanks for watching.
This is the classroom that I wanted, and that's kind of how I look at it. What kind of class did I want, or what kind of class would I love to have with what's available to us now? We have to maximize that usage in the classroom, but it has to be intentional, and it has to be purposeful, and we have to use it not to be lazy, but we have to use it to enhance what we're doing. It's like giving a child a gummy of vitamin C. You're feeding them something that they feel like, oh, this is sweet, it tastes like candy, but it's vitamins for their health.